And good evening. Welcome to Greater Somerville for July 22nd, 2014. I'm Kyan Anderson. Tonight's topic, the Boys and Girls Club of Middlesex County. A fixture to the Somerville community since 1973, their mission is to inspire and enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to reach their full potential as caring, productive, and responsible citizens. With their recent kickoff of the Community Launch Challenge, their executive director is here tonight to tell us a little bit about this fundraising campaign, why this organization is so critical to our youth, and what you can do to help and get involved. So please join me in welcoming Lindsay Smythe to her debut appearance here on Greater Somerville.
Hi, Kyan. Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome to the show. So as you can tell, there was a little bit of a technical snafu at the beginning of the show, but the good thing is that's what editing is for.
That's what it's for.
So we're going to go here for another 28 minutes, but thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You know, this is a really important topic, and we've been wanting to get you on the show for a while now. So what I typically like to do is go through and talk to my guests, find out, obviously why you're here, but I like to find out a little bit about the background of a person to understand why you do what you do, especially with you, based on your background. So you're a native of Connecticut.
Yes, I am.
Okay, and you grew up, you were in Connecticut, but you lived in the North Shore for 14 years?
Yes, for about 14 years, mostly in Beverly, actually.
Okay. And so you've been the executive director of the Boys and Girls Club of Middlesex County since about January 2013.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so previously, North Shore Head Start, North Shore Music Theater, and the Family Reentry. So tell me a little bit about those.
Well, I actually started college thinking that I was going to teach English or be a theater stage manager. Wasn't quite sure what I was going to do. Yeah. Went through a couple years of school and got the bug to do community service after some volunteer work. Woke up one day and said, I want to go into social work. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what it's going to be, but I jumped in and continued my studies after having left school for a couple of years. And I started off as a family social worker with North Shore Head Start, working with very low income families, homeless families, and moved quickly into community programs, and then got a very strange offer to become the first grants manager, grant writer with North Shore Music Theater, which was at that time a nonprofit organization. They were looking for that, and I was looking for more experience in grant writing, and I went back to my theater roots on a different, from a different angle, and really learned about developing programs and fundraising and connecting with the community and how important that is, and leading a nonprofit organization. Found myself back in Connecticut for about 4 or 5 years and working in really intense and interesting inner city social services programs that served families impacted by incarceration in Bridgeport and Norwalk, Connecticut.
So tell me a little bit about that. That's the Family Reentry program?
So what I did there is, I oversaw all the government funding. We worked very closely with parole, the Department of Correction. We had programs with families, children, and men and women who are actually in prison, and helping support them and connect with programs that would help them succeed when they re-entered the community. So it was a really, really intense look at the power cycle of how crime, violence, and incarceration impacts individuals, families, and then communities. And I really got to see the whole cycle of what can happen when there aren't enough opportunities and support for young people and for families and parents.
Okay, and so was that the Champions Mentoring?
Yeah, that was one of our programs.
That was one of the programs, okay.
Yeah, I got really, really excited about that right when I first started working there. The program manager approached me and said, hey, we have this program, but we'd like to invite you to be a mentor as a volunteer while you're working here. And so I mentored a young woman who's now, she just turned 17. We stay in touch, but for about 4 or 5 years, who, both of her parents had been in and out of prison her whole life. She'd been raised by extended family, and I was just that person in her life that was just about her. She had a big family, really hectic, really in survival mode, and I could focus my attention on her and and we had fun. I helped her with school and sort of navigating some of the excitement of being a middle schooler and early teenager. And that's really, I think, what got to me and what really struck a chord with me when I knew that I wanted to, where my career path had been a little bit of a twisty-turny path from social services to the arts and back. That's when I knew I wanted to work with kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very
That'll do it.
So you're a Somervillian. You live in Somerville.
I am.
Whereabouts in Somerville?
Not too far from Highland Kitchen up in
Oh
Spring
my
Hill.
gosh,
Yeah.
that's a dangerous spot.
I know.
I love Highland Kitchen.
I think it's a good spot. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Okay, so we've already talked a little bit about why you got here. There's something about Somerville. You said that the community spirit in summer particularly was something that drew you here.
I think, yeah, the friends that I had who lived in Somerville, the two big things that they said was obviously the restaurants, but there's a ton of creativity and so many people who really want to be involved in the community and these wonderful community festivals and events and lots of different ways to get involved, and that was attractive to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you came to the Boys and Girls Club in 2013.
Yes.
A little bit of history. You guys celebrated 40 years.
Yep, right when I arrived.
In Middlesex County, so that's exciting. And so, now for those of you at home who don't know, the Somerville Boys and Girls Club, it was located over on Washington Street.
Yep, 181 Washington.
And closed in 2010. It's now being a new development, but but it opened its doors in 1973 in Union Square. But you actually are still, you're remaining in Somerville. So the Middlesex Boys and Girls Club contains 4 separate clubs,
Yes.
correct? And
Yes.
those are where?
In Somerville, at the Healy School actually is where we're operating right now. We had been there when the main Somerville site was open and when that was stopped serving children in 2010, and then when we sold the building in 2012, it was really important to us to remain in our home community of Somerville.
Yep.
So we're over at the Healy School, and we are also in Cambridge in Area 4, co-located with the Community Arts Center and Cambridge Health Alliance. We are in Medford Square, in the gymnasium that is below the Chevalier Theater. We have a nice big facility there. And we are also in Everett with a teen-only program that just started 5 years ago at the invitation of the city itself. We're right on Broadway, not far from City Hall in Everett.
So you serve about, of the 4 clubs, you serve about 1,500 students a year.
Yes. Between the ages of 6 and 18.
Okay, and
Big
so
range.
Cambridge is the smallest one.
Right now it is,
And then
yes.
Somerville about 100 students or 100 kids a year, or 100 kids a day, or?
We have 100 members.
Okay.
And we have, at any given time, probably close to 80 children who are coming every day who are students at the Healy School or residents of the Mystic Housing Development.
Okay. And so of these, of the clubs, you've got 5 core program areas that you could speak to that you want to enhance children.
Yes. So a big focus, the 5 core program areas in any Boys and Girls Club are academic and educational, healthy lifestyles, character and leadership development, fitness and recreation and sports, and the arts and music. And so in any Boys and Girls Club in America, you can find a range of programming across those core areas. And I know that when I got introduced to the Boys and Girls Club a couple of years ago, I'd been familiar with it, but I really, to be honest, I thought, okay, it's a big gym and the kids play basketball and they do arts and crafts. Maybe they get some homework help after school. It's just so much more. There's really in-depth, long-term programming that's really rich and diverse and speaks to the unique interests of our kids in that club, the members at that time, sort of the spirit of the community itself, and also kind of the interests and expertise of our staff and volunteers that come in. Sometimes they get the kids really excited about something new. So our Somerville Club, which is sort of true to the spirit of Somerville itself, has a really heavy focus on academics and education. We work really hard with our kids to make sure that they're succeeding in school, and we are seeing not only great improvements, but what I think, and we all tend to think is more important for the long term, is really dramatic increases in positive attitudes towards school and learning. So you know that they're set up for life. It's not just about that one class. And also our environmental stewardship and nature programming is hugely popular in our
Very trendy.
in our Somerville club.
Yeah, that's great.
Our kids know how to test the water in the Mystic River. Oh
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's really, they got really excited about it. So they go camping, they go hiking, they learn all about the open spaces and the ecology of the, the Mystic River area, but then Somerville in general. And, our Somerville members, our kids love being outdoors.
Really?
Yeah.
So what's interesting about this, and that's partly why we're here tonight, is that you do all these amazing programs, and you serve, some, 80% of your children are from challenging kind of socioeconomic
low-income families, recent immigrants. We are open to any child. There are no financial restrictions, but we do tend to attract and we serve the kids who need us most. You said in our mission statement, and certainly in Somerville, that's what we're doing.
And then about 80 or 90% of them are English as the second language.
Yes,
is that correct?
That is true.
So with all of this assistance that you are providing, which is wonderful, you do this. Now I was surprised at this in my research. $30 a year.
Yep.
Per member.
Per member.
Because you're trying to obviously make this accessible to everyone and anyone out there that needs assistance. But in actuality, it takes approximately $800 to $1,000 a year per member in order to make this work. Is that right?
It's true. The business model, I know when I inherited the organization about a year and a half ago, I was like, studying the financials. I was, how do you make this all work for $30 a year? But that's what we do. It's a wild business plan. It's a challenging business plan, but we make sure that there's no barrier. And honestly, if a family has a hard time paying that, we do payment plans or we waive the fee altogether. Yeah. The most important thing is that any child who's interested in being a part of a Boys and Girls Club can walk in the door. But then what that means is our board, our staff, our community ambassadors, our friends, our neighbors, we rely on them for their support through donations and fundraisers and things like that.
So what I think is important to note as well. So you are the Somerville, the Girls and Boys Club of Middlesex County, which is there's a broader organization umbrella. However, I think it's really important to note that this organization, you don't actually get funding from the national organization, correct? I mean, you get to use the name because obviously it's recognizable, and you want children to be able to feel comfortable and their parents to feel comfortable to come to an organization. However, you don't really get funding. You do a lot of private kind of fundraising.
Yeah, the Boys and Girls Club of America, we're chartered clubs through the Boys and Girls Club of America. We pay dues and we have access to wonderful support and resources and national program models, obviously safety standards and things that make sure that we have extremely safe, positive environments for our kids and for our staff alike. But at the end of the day, their model used to be that there was some direct funding, and the clubs were heavily funded by United Way. When both of those models changed within the past probably 20 years, many clubs began to rely on private fundraising, grant writing, businesses that make donations, fundraisers, individuals just writing checks. There are some clubs out there who do fee-based programming. They have community activities, fitness classes, or rent out the spaces to other groups. And we're able to do that in some of our spaces, but we are limited, particularly in our club in Somerville, because we're operating out of the school system, who are very kind to provide that space to us to be able to serve the children in the Healy School and the surrounding neighborhood. But we do have to raise all that money.
And you're still not quite self-sufficient.
Not in each club. What we do is we have about a $225,000 budget for our Somerville club. We are able to raise a good portion of that from the Somerville community. We do still have a long way to go, I think, understandably. When the Union Square, the Washington Street site closed down, there are a lot of people in Somerville who thought, oh, they've left Somerville. And I think one of the reasons I was really excited to be here is to make sure that people know and your viewers know and can hopefully pass the word along that we really are here. We're serving kids each day. So what we've been doing is, as the umbrella organization, like you said, the Boys and Girls Club of Middlesex County, that gives us the ability to raise unrestricted money, which we are able to put towards each of the clubs where the community has not been able to fully meet the fundraising needs of that club just yet.
Okay. Sorry, I was trying to be sneaky here and switch out to. This is why, folks, I'm not a techie. Okay, so I was trying to switch to our pictures.
We'll just stay analog.
We're just gonna keep going. We're just gonna keep going on this. So, so you had said that there are definitely some big Somerville supporters and funders right now, and I just want to make sure we recognize a number of them. The Sacco Family Foundation.
Yes.
Valier,
yes, a tech company in Davis Square. They're wonderful. They've become one of our biggest supporters.
And Mullane Plumbing, Rockland Trust, the schools that donate, the Space 99 restaurant, East Boston Savings Bank, City of Somerville, and the Somerville Housing Authority, and the club benefits from the United Way. So, like I said, those are definitely people that are worthy of mentioning because of all the contributions that they make to make this go as far as it can. However, you guys, in your fundraising efforts, have just recently launched a new campaign to try and raise awareness so that that people know that your club is still around, but it's the Community Match Challenge. That started July 1st. So we're a little bit off mark, but
that's okay. It's a soft component of the campaign right now.
Blame Joe. He has all the political guests on. I tried to get her in earlier, but anyway. So start July.
We're going to be going out and hitting the community, meeting with our friends in Somerville and all of the communities that we serve. We have an incredible opportunity. We had it last year and the year before, but not quite as big as this.
So tell me why. Yes. Why is it? I mean, so it's through July 1st through March of next year. However, this specific challenge, the match that you're going to tell me about, is only through December.
We're aiming to complete it in December. We have an incredible opportunity. The Amelia Peabody Foundation is one of the largest funders of Boys and Girls Clubs in the state of Massachusetts. They are incredible, they're hands-on, and they are incredibly supportive financially as well. They know us. I learned more about my organization, I think, in my first meeting with our large donor than I had even in any of my other conversations. They're just a wonderful group of people. And they have presented us with a challenge opportunity, a match challenge, where we're going out to our communities, including Somerville, and any new or increased donation from an individual or a business at certain levels, which I'll mention in a minute, will be matched 1-to-1. And I know personally that's something that I always look for when I'm making a donation to whether it's BUR or another nonprofit organization. If there's a matching opportunity, you can double what you're giving. What we're really working to do right now to build our clubs and strengthen our clubs for our kids and for the future is converting some of our donors into larger donors, sustaining donors, multi-year donors, so that we don't have to, as they say, push that fundraising rock up the hill each year, that there's a little bit of predictability. So right now the Community Match Challenge is any new donation or donation that increases. If you've donated to us before, thank you. If you're an individual, it's $500 or more. Or a business or corporation, it's $2,500 or more. And the Amelia Peabody Foundation will match that donation 1-to-1, dollar for dollar, up to $50,000. So at the end of the day, it means $100,000 more for our clubs and our kids. And we need all the help we can get. So if that is something that is in yours or your family's budget or your business's budget, it's not just a donation. We have great ways for people to get involved and get connected to our kids, and we'd love to meet you. And it's not just about the money. We love when people come and visit and spend time with our kids and volunteer. So I'm hopeful that it's going to be a successful challenge.
So a lot of the funds, a lot of these funds will be going to the operation for your clubs. So I mean, these are really kind of dollar for dollar. What you're giving is really going to go a long way. Straight
to the kids. We have low overhead costs, and we have what people in the nonprofit world who are watching and listening know, it's harder and harder to find grants that are not restricted. And so this kind of money, where they say, we trust you, we know what you're doing, we know you're running these safe, positive, fun places for our kids in our community, we know you know what to do with your money, and being able to have funds for general operating support like this is incredible.
So people, if they can't, and it's a 501c3.
It is.
So you did tax deductible, which is wonderful.
It's 100% tax deductible. Your donation is doubled, and you can designate, if you're a resident of Somerville and you'd prefer that your funds go to the Somerville Club, you can absolutely make sure to designate your donation.
Okay. So getting people involved, another way that people can give if they're not able to financially give as much, is being a volunteer.
Absolutely.
And so you were talking about this, you can have it be a hands-off donation or a hands-on donation, just based on all the things, the funds that you do, you can just, how do they just obviously contact you?
Yes.
In order to,
I will make sure. I know that you've got our website up for maybe the end of the program, but we have a ton of information on our website, including an application to be a volunteer. I have a manager of staff and volunteer resources who is totally dedicated to making sure that our volunteers are matched with club location and with activities, and have a really great experience. So. Right now, at any given time, we have about, summer's quieter, but we have about 100 to 175 volunteers, and we have over 400 volunteers each year. Anything from mentoring and tutoring one-on-one, you could come each week, come once a month. We also have program volunteers, and where people come in and maybe start a knitting club, and they and friends come in and work with the kids. And one of the newer things that we're doing for anybody who's affiliated with a corporation or maybe a larger business is we have customized volunteer experiences that we're able to offer to our corporate partners, so that their employees can live out that company's values of community service and giving back. So they come and do a day of service, maybe build some shelves for our kids to keep their program materials on, paint a room, do some landscaping around the club, or just have a field day. Valier, actually from Davis Square, came out, and they had about 15 or 20 of their staff who came and ran about 2 or 3 hours of a field day with all of our kids at the Somerville Club to celebrate the end of the year.
Oh, fun!
And that's not rare.
So I was able to get the tech. We're gonna take this up. We're teching out.
Here we go.
So we're just gonna go through a few of these slides, and this just kind of gives you an understanding. Again, very recognizable Boys and Girls Club logo, and there's your mission again. And really, with all the things that you do, this is such an important thing to stress in kids at all ages. I think being an impact on their lives. And now these are just...
That's our Somerville Club. That's Rob, who runs the program, the Rob Squad that I mentioned. The Rob Squad is all about the nature exploration and environmental stewardship.
Okay.
Yeah, kids love him. He's our
And now what are they doing?
director.
These look like big Legos.
Isn't that
kind
fun?
of like these look fabulous.
That is the imagination playground.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Because we are in a shared space and we have to get really creative. We were very fortunate to get funding to receive this very cool thing called an imagination playground. And so it packs up really neatly into a number of carts, and then the kids can take it out and build and create the playground that they want, and then pack it all back up at the end of the day.
When I was a kid,
right? It's really fun.
And now what are they doing? Some artists.
They're doing a mural. Yeah, that's probably one of our. I'm sure it has a theme. One of the creative arts activities, but we also try to use any kind of artistic opportunity, creative opportunity, anything fun, and infuse it with maybe science and technology or life skills development. That's a big part of what we do. Self-esteem building activities. One of our little guys.
Very cute.
Yes.
Basketball.
Yes. This is an example of two things. The 99 restaurants are an incredible partner of ours. They helped us raise over $6,000 last year, making them one of our larger funders. And their staff, Joni on the right there, is the store manager at the Assembly Row or Assembly Square 99 restaurant. And their staff loves raising money for us. They're incredible. And front left is Janet Contreras Alvarez, our 2013 Youth of the Year for our Middlesex County clubs, which is a competition that we do. It's a nationwide competition, excellence in academics, and striving in school, as well as service to club and community. And she's just a wonderful young woman who's an ambassador for our club now. Yep.
And now this is the contact information. We're going to go ahead and put this on our website, Greater Somerville website. But you know, for those of you at home that might be thinking, wow, this would be a wonderful thing for my kids to get involved with, or I want to get involved with this, or I want to, you know, make sure that this is something that I donate to, you know, definitely go online and find out more. And so this is where we're going to get crazy. Oh, they were back on again. See, look at this.
You did it.
I know, I did do this. Put our names back on there. This is really official. So, you know, I think the important dates that we want to make mention of, and for those of you, you know, who aren't as familiar with this organization, I definitely encourage you to get in contact with Lindsay, see what it's all about, find out if your kids are, you know, it's just what your kids need for $30 a member.
Year.
That's pretty. I mean, I don't know. No gym memberships are even that. That's incredibly cheap.
No, I mean it's really.
It
creates really what it is it's a symbolic donation that makes. You know, it helps the child really feel like a member of our club, and the membership is in the youth's name. It's their membership. It's not their parents' membership.
So can people just give any type, if people wanted to donate, say they can't donate $500, but maybe they donate,
which we understand that
maybe
that's
they
a big
donate
number.
$90, and that's 3 memberships for these kids.
Absolutely.
You know, you could like say, hey, just give these to a family of 3 that you know that might enjoy this, and maybe they want to participate, but they can't afford it. Then a person could give, you know, right under $100, and it would really go a long way.
Absolutely. We encourage and appreciate, and I mean truly appreciate, my staff, who I know will watch this at some point, especially the women in the development department. They know when the check comes in from the elderly woman each year for $10, and you know she's probably been giving to the Boys and Girls Club of Somerville forever, for as long as we've been here. That means just as much to me. I think it's special. It takes donations of all size. It takes neighborhoods getting involved. There's so much. At the end of the day, what we do is we build relationships. We want to make sure that our kids are building relationships that are healthy and positive with one another, with adults, and we like to build relationships with our partners and our donors and our neighborhoods, and this is just one way to get involved.
So a couple of quick things. We've got a couple of minutes here, but I just wanted to wrap it up here. The deadline for the 50% match is December 1st, 2014. So that's the goal. So if you really want your dollars to go a long way, definitely get in touch with Lindsay before that time. You have a golf tournament coming up on September 18th.
Yes, we do.
Community input meeting is in late September, early October. I would guess that you could check on your website and find out more information.
We'll be reaching out to the community.
And again, the contact information, if you want to get involved, check out our www.greatersomerville.wordpress.com. And find out more about this wonderful cause. I'd like to thank our guest, Lindsay Smythe, for taking the time out of her busy schedule to stop down at Greater Somerville, telling us a little bit more about the Boys and Girls Clubs of Middlesex County and the recently launched Community Awareness Challenge. I would encourage all of you to please make your contributions to the Boys and Girls Club of Somerville by December 2014 to take full advantage of this one-on-one matching opportunity. This organization serves a very wide variety and segment of our population and provides kids of all ages and socioeconomic standings a critical recreational outlet. And we want to make sure this organization can continue to give back to our community in the years ahead. So that does it for us tonight. Please check out our Greater Somerville website for all the contact information from tonight's program. You know, thank you to the viewers at home for watching, and as always, stay safe and stay informed. Good night, everyone.